Hello everyone in Cyber World. Welcome back to another video. I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Richard, and this is our channel we call Poor Man's DIY. This week, finally, after 4 weeks, we're finally able to work on our ceiling repair. Several weeks back, we had our AC apparently failed on us, caused a whole bunch of leaking. It damaged our ceiling, and so we have to repair the ceiling. We were quoted quite a bit of money, about $2,000, to have someone else come in to fix it, and we said, no, 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 no. We're gonna do it ourselves, so we're gonna show you exactly how we fixed our ceiling.
But before we get to that video, please leave us a comment, hit that like button, or if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button below.
Today we've got an unusual circumstance that we're here. Today we ran into this mess up here, and we have to figure out what's causing this and see what we can do to fix this. This might be a DIY project, it might be something that requires a professional, it might be a combination of both, and we're just going to have to figure it out. So let's see what we can do. Alright, we're going to take a look at what's going on up here. This is actually in the ceiling, so it's not a plumbing issue. It hasn't been raining, so I don't think it's a rain and a leak issue. And it so happens that it seems to be where an air conditioning unit is. And based on what I can see inside that big old droop there is, that might be a water collecting drip pan. My guess is a water drip pan that's overflowing for some reason. So somehow or another we got to try and drain that as best we can, and we'll go from there. Alright, so here's what I've discovered. The air conditioning unit has a water drip off, and this pipe goes to the edge of the house and it drips off by the gutter. What I found is in the back here is a ginormous drip pan, and then I also discovered on the bottom of the unit itself, where this pipe is supposed to drip out to, inside it was flooded. So between the bottom of this air conditioning unit and the drip pan over there, I used a wet dry vac and got 10 gallons of water out of it. And I am now 100% sure this happened previously, and either an HVAC person or the owner did their workaround. And what I discovered is the giant drip pan, they created another drip pan for that and put a flimsy aluminum baking pan in there to catch whatever the first 10 gallons after they start dripping over. So what we're going to have to do is probably get an HVAC person in here and see if we can identify what is causing all this condensation and if there's a better way to get it to drip straight out. We'll do the home repairs ourselves. It doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. We're going to have to dry everything out here for several days. I'll try and get a fan up here and just have it blowing non-stop. And once it's fully dried, we'll cut out the drywall, reinstall some new drywall, and that'll be a DIY for that. We'll show you how we do that, and then paint it and repair it.
Okay, so the AC people have finally replaced the air conditioning unit inside the ceiling. They actually had to take it apart piece by piece to pull out the old one, and then the brand new one, they also had to take that apart and piece by piece put it through this wonderful crawl area here. Unfortunately, they made an honest mistake, and while moving things in and out, they snapped this. So I'm going to have to fix this as well. And we're also going to fix all the damaged drywall. We're going to have to cut out the rotted stuff and replace that. We're going to be using orange peel to spray the ceiling once we're done and repaint it. Shouldn't be too bad, but it definitely is something we'll be able to save a lot of money by doing it on our own. So before we get started, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cover everything in plastic, and then we'll get working on the project itself. Not sure why the frog tape has always been the best for us, but for some reason it just isn't holding today, so I had to use a little bit of duct tape, which will probably rip off the paint, but since I'm painting the ceiling anyways, figured out what the heck, at least we'll hold it in. We'll encase this whole closet so that none of the drywall and everything else I do in there will come out here, and especially once we start doing some spraying, we're going to be doing orange peel to give it texture on the ceiling once we've replaced the drywall and patched it up. So this should help keep it from getting all over the place. Okay, so we're totally encased in plastic here. It's a sauna, but we got to do what we got to do. So we're going to be cutting this down, and obviously we want to get it as clean as possible and remove all the stuff that was damaged. I can tell here that there's a stud right here along this line. I don't know if I have to cut out beyond or if this is just paint that pulled off, so we'll see about that. But I also have a line here of what our drywall screws, and if I look inside here, I can tell that there's a stud there. So I should be able to mark this and cut along here and then fill it up with some replacement drywall. Now, normally I would go ahead and film this, but we're encased in such a small area, there's no way I can film this while I'm doing it. So we're gonna go ahead and I'll do the work and we'll cut that and show you what we do, or what we did. All right, that is the last of the drywall screws. I only wanted to cut up to the stud itself, but the damage went too far over, so I had to do this. But I think by screwing the replacement piece in here and the tape that I'm going to be using, that should be fine. I shouldn't need anything to support it any further. And the other side worked out just perfect as well. Now to get some measurements, cut out a board, screw it in there, and start taping it up. Okay, we're going to be using drywall repair clips to hold together the pieces on the sides because I don't have a stud to drill into. What this will do is allow a place to screw into the piece that's going to be added in here, and it will hold it up as if a stud would hold it. It would hold these two pieces together level. So. Alright, so we didn't have the exact same type of wood to replace just that one part, so I took some 1/2-inch plywood that I had left over and I just made a frame from that. We're going to nail this up, finish nailing this up here. This whole thing is framed with 2x4s, so after I nail this in place, I'm going to use some screws to hold it because this whole thing has to hold the weight of a panel that's going to be laying here. So let's get this up. I have a little explaining to do. After we put on the tape up here, we enclosed this whole area with plastic so that when it came time to sand down the drywall compound, that it would all remain in the area and try not to get dust all over the rest of the bedroom. In doing so, it was very difficult to even attempt to film it, so we were unable to do so. So let's just explain what we did. After I applied the tape on here, we did multiple coats of drywall compound. The reason for this was because I found out after we put this up that some of this other board that was all around it, although it wasn't damaged, it turns out it was more warped than I expected. So between the new piece that I installed to fill this hole and the boards that were still up there, there were some places that were actually left a gap rather than just simple taping. I had to fill a considerable amount of compound in there to make it a level surface. By doing so, it was several days of letting the drywall compound dry, sand it down, apply more, sand it down, apply more until I could put little additional coats until it filled up the whole area. Then after that was done, before we start on the next step, we just applied a coat of a primer on this as instructed on this orange peel that we're going to be spraying on there. So we finished plugging the hole, we've got all the compound up there, we've applied a primer on there, and now we're going to be spraying on some orange peel. This whole area is in a tiny little closet and I can't get any real good lighting in here, so I apologize for the film quality on this, but let's keep on pressing with this project. Okay, and now it's time to finish things up with some paint.
So here you have it. We've completed our ceiling project and it turned out fantastic.
Now, to be honest with you, it's not perfect, and as you'll see in the final results. As I put up the spare drywall to finish patching it up, I noticed then that a lot of the rest of the ceiling is actually warped. I don't know if that was from the water itself or it was just naturally warped and wasn't installed completely flat up against all the studs. So if I were to do this again, I think I would probably just cut out the whole ceiling here. Since it's only a small closet, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but I didn't think about it and I was too lazy, and so we just ended up this one thing. But because it's a closet, it's not that bad, and it's really not all that noticeable except to maybe me. I'm too critical on myself.
But Mr. Poorman did a really, really good job, and it saved us a lot of money from out-of-pocket expenses. Next week, we're going to start making videos on baby-proofing our house because we have family moving to Hawaii. So until then, bye-bye.